Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the broadcast. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. It is Friday, June 14th, 2019, and I'm back here with you again for another show. Thank you so much for being with me yet again for the broadcast. I'm going to be continuing where I left off yesterday with a jack ton of news here to get into, so I'll be doing that for you as per usual and getting into all the things. I literally had what I thought yesterday was enough stuff for only one show, and that's funny how that works sometimes. Yeah, it's out of my control, because listen, I just talk about whatever I'm talking about till I don't have anything else to talk about, so it's interesting when I get on something like yesterday, you can have 2 or 3 topics and they eat up a whole show. That's enjoyable, it's always nice. But nonetheless, got a lot of stuff to get into with you here. Various range and various cornucopia of news, topics, and information as per usual here on the show. So I'm ready to get into it with you. Thanks so much again for being with me. Again, our goal for this week, our fundraising goal, is really to get whatever we can get in, but it's $300 is our goal. I think we got $20, another $20 in or something. We still haven't got much in. So we need everybody to chip in today and give what you can so we can keep the lights and everything, keep this thing up and running here. Because it's already the 14th of the month. And our fundraising page, our goal, we have only gotten in exactly $32 yet, and we're in this month. We're already halfway through the month, and that's just not going to cut it. We can't do the work that I need to do here, making the films, doing the shows, and all that stuff without your support. So I don't have sponsors. I don't have commercials. I don't do ad reads at the beginning, middle, and end of the show like a lot of these fucking shows out there do now. I can't imagine doing that horse shit. And that's why it's vitally important that you support our work, because we don't have outside funding from sponsors. I don't have sponsors dictating to me. That's one thing I swore I would never do when I started my own platform. My show started in 2007, but I started my own platform in 2009 after being on a bunch of different networks and shit and having bad experiences with that. So that's always been my credo here, is to not have to have sponsors, but that only works if everybody's contributing what they can, and lately people have not been contributing what we need, so we got to have everybody moving that needle today. Again, we have I set goals each week so that we don't have everything in a lump sum all at once, but coming up, we're already behind. We've already been behind since the first of this month, and now we're getting farther behind because we've only gotten $32 in all month. So now is the time to act. Now is the time for you that haven't contributed to contribute. $300 is our goal, but if we could get more than that, it would be even better. And then we could, it'd be nice if we got a good chunk of our total goal in, and then we wouldn't have anything else to worry about until the end of the month, first of the month, next month. So if we surpass that goal, that's even better. And then we don't have to worry about that. And then I can concentrate on making the films and doing the shows and all that stuff. So, again, also check out the download shop. We've got lots of new package deals in there on my work where you can save some bucks. You can get the entire Mystery Hollywood series. If you haven't seen that yet, I know there's so many of you out there that have not seen that yet. And I'm telling you, it's amongst... You're missing out. It's one of those things. I mean, I want you to watch all my films and hear all my audiobooks and all that stuff, but you really are missing out if you haven't seen the Mystery Hollywood 5-part series. I mean, it's 9 hours long. Each part is $10, but you can get a package deal in there in the download shop for $40 for the whole thing. And it's over 9 hours, so it's well worth the price of admission, and you're going to walk away with your mind blown if you take the full ride and watch all 5 parts and absorb the whole thing. it's a great thing to get on a, it's a weekend. So it's a great thing if you're looking for something to watch over the weekend and maybe the weather's cruddy where you're at. The awesome thing about, the other thing I want to mention that I don't know if I mentioned a lot, most of my films, the majority of my stuff, because I want you to see them, watch the films in the highest quality possible, I upload them in full HD files. So, normally those are the type of things you're going to want to have to download onto a computer first and you transfer it to another device later if you want to do that. But specifically with the Mystery Hollywood series, I made those files as small as I could while still retaining the best quality possible. I experimented with some different encoding processes and stuff like that, boring stuff you don't want to hear about. But just an FYI, I think there's also the Spellcaster Volume 1, the standard definition version. That one for sure, and all 5 parts of the Mystery Hollywood series are, those are, you could easily download and watch those on a mobile device. So, the rest of my stuff, the rest of my films, those are, I generally upload those. They're pretty big files. So, but with this, I made it so, it's very easy to watch. So I don't know if I've said that enough or mentioned that enough on the show, but I did want to mention that the 5-part Mystery Hollywood series, all the files are, I think they're only like 200 or 300 megabytes or something. I don't remember how big, they're not very big. But anyway, they can quickly be downloaded and watched very easily onto a mobile device. So keep that in mind. And also be sure, as I mentioned yesterday, to get your, if you haven't gotten one, the thing, again, with what's going on, I'll talk about it today with the story I have here. I talked about it a bit at the end of yesterday's show. But with what they're doing now with YouTube, where they're getting even more ridiculous, and they're going to be getting even more ridiculous with stuff to the point where, it's already, like I said, they demonetized me once. I appealed it. They had actual real people, not just AI algorithms, look at it and say, okay, okay, clearly. This guy didn't, he didn't violate anything. This was a mistake. They corrected it. They remonetized me, and then they demonetized me again. And again, they're giving no reasons for this. So, it could be any day. My whole channel and everything I've uploaded to this channel since I think 2006 or 2007 could just be gone in a blink. And, I'm not going to go away. There's a lot of people that if they go away on YouTube, they're gone. Contrary to what people think, I'm not just, that's why I never wanted to be on YouTube. I only started putting shows up there in like 2015 because my show started out on internet radio streams, shoutcast streams, and the members archives just started as a side thing from that. But then when it got to the point where I was getting attacked and taken down all the time, then I had to go to start just uploading the shows instead of streaming them. And that's when I started to put more shows on YouTube in 2015. But, contrary to what it sucks to get lumped into the same category with all these, the millions of other, because I got to tell you, when I started, man, there weren't very many people doing this. And now there's tons. And even though I've been doing it for as long as I have, and I've been here and outlived a ton of people, thanks to the support of my listening audience and the people that donate and support my work. This is my 12th year on air. And, like it or not, say what you will, my show is one of the longest continually running shows on the internet, period. I even predate podcasts. Podcasting wasn't even a thing when I started. I always get mad at that too. Oh, you do a podcast. And, well, not really. I don't consider what I do a podcast. You can call it that. But I've always intentionally never put my show up on iTunes on podcasts. Never. I could have a long time ago. Probably have way more followers if I did. But I've never done that. Never wanted to do that because I didn't want to get lost in the shuffle in the mix with all these other people. So, because of that, it's, I've never banked on YouTube and just considered YouTube the end all be all. I'm glad that I've gotten followers from it and I'm, all that. But listen, now they're just, they're talking about borderline content. Like, it's one thing for them to set, the user policy or, whatever they call it, policy agreements and all that stuff. It's one thing for them to set that and then enforce it based on the rules they've set and predetermined. But when you start taking people down that aren't even violating your policies, that's bad. But but what they're talking about now is borderline content. And dig this, I'm jumping the gun because I've got this story, but I'm sorry, I just had to talk about it now. But now they're saying they're going to start going after people for borderline, for content that's not even in violation of any policies, but what they consider to be borderline content. Now, who determines what the borderline content is? Well, they're saying that it's going to be the algorithm, of course, that determines that. But then they're also saying, this is contradictory and very strange, they're also saying that they're going to have fact checkers now. Now, that's rich, isn't it? They're going to have fact checkers now that are going to be fact checking claims made in YouTube videos. And if they're fact checkers, if the information that someone presents doesn't match up with this unnamed source that they're fact checking, of course, they're not going to give you that information. Notice how they don't give you the information of who the fact checkers are and who or where they're getting their so-called facts to check it against. They're not telling you that, but they're also not telling you, most importantly, if the algorithm is the one that's deciding all this, who's programming the algorithm? Somebody has to be putting that info into the algorithm for it to look for. But of course, they're not telling you that because they don't want you to know, of course, that would be the NSA, the CIA, on and on and on. Because that's really what this is all about. And they'll probably take me down just for telling you the truth here, because they'll probably say that what I'm telling you right now doesn't fact check. I mean, this is some serious George Orwell shit right here. I mean, really, it is. Because this is, I think, listen, I understand they want to go after people that are hate mongers. You can go back and listen to 12 years of my shows, and never once in 12 years of shows that I've done have you ever heard me engaging in any hate speech or going after any of that stuff. The only thing you even hear me probably qualify as hate speech is me going after, Jones or something, but that's not hate speech. I understand wanting to go after white supremacists and hate mongers and people going after LGBT people and all that crap. I mean, I get that. But they're doing that as they're under the guise of going after. It really is an assault on free speech. And completely Orwellian, because now it's like, it doesn't matter, if it's just so crazy. I can't even wrap my mind around this. That's when you know that the truth is a real danger to the establishment. I mean, and we've always known that. But it's solidified now more than ever. Because as most of you, I assume out there by now, if you're listening to my show, know, we have been lied to on all fronts since time immemorial. This is not anything new. That was one of the most astonishing things for me when I first started researching this stuff. Because I guess I probably, like everybody, at some point, assumed that, the powers that be lying to us and not telling us the truth on things is a relatively new thing. Well, we know there's been serfdom and all that, and we know there's been, the royals and the serfs and all that since the beginning of time. But to know that the concealing of the truth by elites, to conceal that truth from what they consider to be the serfs, the slaves, us, the peasants. When I first learned that had been going on, it blew my mind when I first found out it had been going on since the days of ancient Egypt. That was mind blowing. But to find out that later that, holy shit, wait, it was going on for thousands of years before that. Even in the earliest civilizations, we had that all my work into the priest class, which I did around the time when I was doing the Secret Rite, Volume 1 and Volume 2, because I was wanting to find just, how far back this control really went, how far back, how long it's been going on. And, when you find out stuff like that in Egypt, that they told the slaves and the serfs that the sun was God. And meanwhile, in secret, they had their own religion they didn't tell the slaves about. And then even before that, going back to Assyria, Acadia, Sumeria, Babylon, all those early civilizations, you had the same thing where you had whoever these, you can call them by different names, with the Watchers, the Anunnaki, whatever, but you had this much older race of people and knew that this knowledge was going to be important to humans in the future, but that the knowledge of it being known to all would not allow anybody to rule any kingdom successfully. Just like I talked about yesterday, I always reference that movie Knowing. And that's, that may be just a kind of a silly trope from a movie, but it's a microcosm for actual historical things where the earliest secret societies, corrupted this stuff that was supposed to be held in secret and only doled out to certain people. That's how the priesthood rose to power. It's the same reason why Rome and the Vatican and all that stuff are as powerful as they are today. Because the power that they have, it goes back thousands of years. Now, these guys know all kinds of things. That's why the top scientists in the world are employed by the Vatican. That's a fact. The top scientists in the world are not out trying to find vaccines and cures for cancer and all this other stuff. They're just not. The top ones are employed by the Vatican. And this is something that's gone on for so long. But, when you first start researching this stuff, you tend to think it's a relatively new thing. But now we've got this whole thing. Well, it's you don't know. You're not going to know from what particular topic that you talk about whether that's going to make it through the AI censors of YouTube now. Because we've been lied to generationally on all fronts for centuries. And now that people have figured that out and wanted to spread the word about it, now you're going to have fact checkers on YouTube employed by Google and the alphabet agencies and all that now are going to be saying, oh no, well, that's not the official narrative. So anything that goes against any official narrative now is going to be considered grounds for termination from YouTube, even if you are not technically violating the terms of their agreement. So again, this is well beyond, just going after. Listen, it's interesting to me that they picked again, like I talked about yesterday. that Joe Rogan recent Eddie Bravo interview, the day before this article came out about all this stuff. And the two things that they specifically talked about in that article that didn't come out until the next day, where they were specifically going to start going after people that talked about flat earth and people that talked about 9/11 truth. And of course, obviously, Sandy Hook and all that. But yeah, I mean, it's just excessive. You know, regardless of whether I agree with flat earth or not, I certainly agree that those people that believe that and talk about that have every right to talk about it and make YouTube videos about it if they want to, of course. Just like, you know, I would hope they would support my right to talk about the things I talk about, whether they agree with them or not. You know, the topics or whatever are not the issue. You know, I understand they don't want white supremacist stuff on their platform. Okay, I get that. They don't want anti-gay stuff on their platform. Okay, I get that. You know, racist stuff, they don't want that. I get that. They don't want pedophile stuff. All that stuff is logical. But, you know, it's just interesting that conspiracy theorist type people used to always just be treated as a crazy uncle. You know, you just, well, and what do they normally do with a crazy one? They just ignore them, right? And it's funny how the policy used to be, well, just whatever, that's those people. They would just marginalize conspiracy people. And now it's become a full-on frontal assault. It's hilarious, man. It's just funny to me that this is all seems to be happening now. And I got sent this clip the other day. Apparently Jones is coming out with some movie about him being censored. And this clip I watched with Jones, and I mean, it was this guy, he's now doing to himself exactly what he's claimed all the media and everything have done to him, which is to take him out, everything he says out of context. Now he's taking his own self out of context in this clip I saw, and he's saying that he's being a fucking titty baby, crying like a little fucking bitch with a skin knee, saying, "Oh, I wish I'd never met Donald Trump. Because if I would never met Donald Trump, the liberal media would never come after and attack me. But because I supported him, now they're taking me down." Well, goddamn. You lie down with fucking dogs, you get fleas, bitch. What the fuck? You made the conscious decision to get in bed with fucking Donald Trump, Jones. Nobody fucking pressured you to do it, along with all these other fucking ass clown. But I tell you what, though, I'm really glad all that happened, because, man, it was amazing to watch. Especially to watch, you know, people that I had worked with and 2 shows I'd gone on in the past. That really, to me, showed me who the spooks and the feds and the real people were, because it was like a goddamn memo. It was like marching orders, simultaneously, all at once. This is even before Trump even announced presidency. All of a sudden, you started seeing all these certain conspiracy outlets. All of a sudden, they start going right wing. All of a sudden they start going anti-immigration. That was the first thing they were doing. And I mean, it really, to see all these people doing it and making it seem like it was some sort of real movement, that's the trick and the lie. They tried to take the conspiracy genre and turn it into a right-wing political thing. And so many people have just gone along with it lock, stock, and barrel. This is the main reason why that ever since Trump has gotten in office, they have attacked me and tried to downplay me and tried to keep my information. You know, I was doing real good there for a while. But, man, because they knew this is why everything makes sense. This is why they tried to eliminate me for years. And I got kicked off networks and everything else and got suppressed time after time, because they knew when I first started this, as soon as I started doing this, I was on to them. When I started exposing the CMP, the Council for National Policy, and the connection with Jones and the right-winger stuff, because I started seeing, I had already done this research for years, and that, even though I was a fan for Jones for a couple of years, between like 2005 and like 2007, before I woke up to that stuff, even before I found out about the CMP, even before I started my show, I started to have suspicions. Because at that point, I had already, for years, even when I was in high school, I had already known the two-party system was horseshit, and that both are, two hands on the, two different hands on the same body that's running the whole show. So that's when I started to get suspect with the whole conspiracy thing, because everything started becoming right wing, and I remember telling my dad one time that because he was a fan of Pat Buchanan, and I told my dad, I was like, Dad, you're never going to guess who Alex Jones had on today. He's like, who? I'm like, Pat Buchanan. He was like, wow, he just couldn't. My dad was shocked, couldn't believe it. He's like, that's strange. Because that doesn't make sense to me. I go, yeah, that kind of doesn't make sense to me either. Why would Jones be having on this, hardcore right wing guy? Then, of course, I found out of the CMP stuff later, and it all made sense. But that's when I first started. I was like, wait a minute here. Because everybody that I had ever talked to, prior to listening to Alex Jones and stuff, everybody I ever talked to about conspiracy stuff like me knew about the phony two-party system and knew that it was just another method of control, and it's just another way to give people the illusion of freedom of choice. Like the old analogy of, you can go to a fast food, you can go to McDonald's, but, you can't get a T-bone steak at McDonald's. You can't get a fucking snow crab at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? You can't get a fucking albacore tuna. You know what I mean? So it's not really choice. You're choosing from what they give you to choose from, but you're not really getting to choose what you want on your own. You're just choosing from what they give you to choose from. That's not freedom. That's the illusion of freedom. So when I started hearing all this stuff about storable foods and iodine and and weapons and fucking people hoarding gold and hoarding, I was, wait a second here. Even before I found out about the CMP stuff, that was my first clue. Something wasn't right. Something's not right here. And I can remember a lot of radio hosts and stuff when I started peeling back the onion on some of the CMP stuff. I remember a lot of people getting real scared. And I remember I was on Republic Broadcasting Network for, 7 or 8 months. I was a maniac back then. I do like 6 shows a week, and like two on the weekends. And I did the show for like 6 or 8 months on Republic Broadcasting, and I did like 2 hours in the morning. I'd have to fucking, because I'm a night owl, I'd like fucking close at the pizza place and be there till like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, go home, try to crash out, then get back up at like 5, prepare a show, do a 2-hour show, and then get up and go work, open and close again. And I had the radio show during the week, but yeah, I started exposing the CMP stuff on there. And at that time I did my show on Saturdays in the morning, and then guess who did a show on the same network later that night? Larry Pratt, Gun Owners of America, who I'd been going hard on the CMP stuff, and of course went to go confront him and pissed himself when he saw me. That's unforgettable. I'll never forget that. Old man shat his depends. He thought I was coming for him. Oh, that was so beautiful. He thought I was coming for him. But, I was saying that. I was like, look at this, I was like, I'm not going to name names, but there's people on this very network doing shows on this network that are involved with this Council for National Policy stuff. And sure enough, next day I got a call from John Statmiller, and they fired me. because heaven forbid people, again, that's something I've been up against. But I was onto this and told people this was coming. I called it the new right. It was before they started calling it the alt-right. I called it the new right because you had the new right in the 80s, which is what the Council for National Policy and all that stuff was spawned out of. And, in late 2007 and early 2008, I started warning people about the rise of the new right that was going to be coming. And that's, I couldn't have predicted it was going to be called the alt-right, but that's indeed what it now is. But I predicted that was coming long before it was here. And even before Obama got elected, I predicted that was coming down the road. And during the Obama administration is when we saw the rise of that, what I termed the new right, what is now known as the alt-right. So this is exactly what I've been talking about. And it's so interesting to see now that they are blatantly going after people and that have, in many cases, done nothing wrong. All right, let's. I wasn't even going to start off talking about that. Because I really want to get through this news. This is what I was talking about yesterday in terms of the sun and things like what I believe. I believe it's possible that our sun is using its fuel at a much faster rate than we've been told. And as I talked about yesterday, as many of you know, they have been. They tell us that the sun won't burn up its fuel for billions of years, right? And if that's true, and there's nothing going on with the sun, then why are we continually reading stories about whether it be NASA or whoever trying to figure out ways to escape climate change on Earth? And here's the story I was talking about. Earth Exodus. Plan to alter Earth's orbit to escape being eaten by the dying sun. Now, that doesn't make any sense to me. Earth's orbit may one day need to be altered to escape being devoured by its dying sun, and an engineer has devised some ingenious solutions for achieving this ambition. Now, again, that's all well and fine. If this is imminent and something to worry about, then yeah, maybe we should be trying to come up with these ideas. But isn't it completely contradictory for them to say we're trying to figure this out, yet we don't have to worry about it for 5 billion years or something like that? That makes no sense. And only an idiot would think that it does make sense. Because obviously, 5 billion, listen, the planet ain't, this planet ain't gonna be here 5 billion years, regardless of what the sun. I don't give a fuck what they say. It ain't gonna last that long. At least not in its current incarnation. But there's been many incarnations on this planet. That's, again, that's another one of those things they want to. That's why so much of the stuff like I've covered with my work into the rock wall and all that. The biggest question I always get, and it just seems so. I don't know. I guess I've been looking at this stuff for so long, so it just seems so easy and simple to me. But I get that question more than anything else. Why would they want to cover up the rock wall? Why would they want to cover up these ancient things? For exactly this reason. I mean, why do they lie about all these rock formations across the world that they say are rock formations, like the ones you see across the southwest of the United States that I've seen many times going out on my trips and stuff? Why do they tell us those are rock formations when those are clearly fossilized ancient giant trees? Why do they want to keep the knowledge of ancient civilizations that predate humans? Why do they want to keep? Because they don't want us to know that there have been many incarnations of this planet and there have been sentient beings on this planet for much longer than we've been told. Because if they tell us that, then the question comes up, well, what happened to them? Why does it seem when you dig in deeper down that there is continuously this thing going back hundreds of thousands of years on this planet, probably even farther than that, where you have the rise of intelligent civilizations and then the complete destruction of them, and then it happens. It's because of these solar cycles and these things that happen on a cyclical timeline that they know about. Because, again, if you put a definite timeline, you know, if everybody knew that the thing reset was going to reset in 20 or 30 years, you would not be able to effectively govern the planet. You know, is everybody going to get up and go to work tomorrow if they know that the sun's fuel is going to run out 15 years from now or 20? No, dude, fuck no. Dude, it would be a completely different world. And I think it would be, I personally, in my opinion, think it would be a better world. I really do. I'd rather know than not know. I mean, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you rather know? I mean, if you, because again, you could get hit by a truck tomorrow. You know, whether or not the sun's going to run out of fuel or whatever else, it should be of no consequence. But I would want to know. But that you're not going to tell the whole of the world that, because we wouldn't be able to keep the thing running. Are you going to get up and go to your fucking shit job and give a fuck about whether or not the goddamn donuts get made today or whatever? If you know the shit's going to go down and find it. No, dude, you're going to be living your life. You're going to be on the beach shooting fucking heroin and steroids and fucking coke and fucking baby crack and everything else into your fucking stem cells. Fuck it. YOLO, bitch. You'd be shooting fucking Deca and mixed with fucking horse tranquilizer into your fucking dick hole, dude. So that's why, it goes hand in hand with why they keep the knowledge of these cyclical events that happen with the sun, and why that goes hand in hand with them keeping the existence of these ancient civilizations on Earth a secret as well. Man-made climate change is an immediate concern, with a global warming apocalypse appearing increasingly likely. There's that old yarn again. Again, another thing there that's all it goes hand in hand with. There it is. That's the whole narrative. That's where the whole climate change, global warming apocalypse thing. That's their whole counter narrative to the real truth that they know about these cyclical events that happen with the sun. However, the planet's long-term prognosis is even more dire, because the sun will one day run out of fuel and expand, destroying the Earth in around 5 billion years. There it is. 5 billion years. And the whole point of this fucking article is for them to tell us that somebody's fucking running a goddamn fucking weed. What, you son of a bitch. Suck my fucking dick. The whole point of this article is them telling us that NASA's trying to come up with solar sails and ways to move the planet away. But yet they're saying, okay, they're working on this now, but yet they're telling us that we don't have to worry about it for 5 billion years. Are you fucking kidding me? Are we really that stupid? We're not, but they think we are. That's the whole point of this. Moving the Earth to a wider orbit to escape this fiery oblivion may seem like a far-fetched solution, but an engineer has now outlined several theories for escaping this fate. Scientists know the sun will one day change from its current state to a red giant, a star far larger than it's currently sized, and this expansion will eventually reach Earth's orbit, rendering it totally uninhabitable in around 5 billion years. Okay, so again, that's the whole point I'm making here. Why is NASA expending funds on this in 2019 if this is 5 billion years away from happening? That makes absolutely zero sense, and only an idiot would think that it does make sense. Makes sense. Makes sense. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they should be trying to come up. No. Do it fucking, how about 4.5 billion years from now you come up with this? I think if the Earth is still around, technology will be significantly greater. So let's worry about some other stuff. Let's worry about what's going on right here, right now. The only reason they would try, think about that. The only reason they would be trying to expend funds on this right now would be because this is happening fucking sooner than they've been telling us. And this is what I've been saying for many years now. If you watch the sun, if you watch what's been going on with it, you watch these stories about how they're talking about trying to get off Earth, they absolutely know. And again, everything that I've researched with my work into the lost secrets of ancient America and all that. This is great. The next paragraph. However, in an extreme case of future planning, University of Glasgow space engineer Dr. Matteo Ceriotti has proposed some radical solutions to help Earth change orbit. Well, at least they acknowledge that. In an extreme case of future planning, right. What is the need to come up with these ideas and concoct this right now? And so this is where they sold us on the whole climate change, global warming shit, and we have to have a carbon tax and socialist world government and all this stuff in order to keep the climate at bay, when really they're completely lying to us about the knowledge of these cyclical things that happen with the sun that cause extinction level events on the planet, wiping out the majority of all habitable life. And they're trying to come up with solutions for themselves. It's not about saving the Earth and the people on it now. And it's not just about making sure the species survives at all either. These people only want to make sure themselves and, more importantly, their bloodlines survive. That's what this is about. But they're going to use the slaves and the serfs, manpower and knowledge to achieve it all. That's all we're here for. We're only here to be beasts of burden for their plan to ensure that their bloodlines live on indefinitely on this planet and off. The proposals have been extreme, as, for example, the Earth's mass is so large we do not have enough power to move the planet using conventional rocket propulsion. Yeah, that's a problem. That'd be a problem. Yeah, it's the whole idea that we're going to move. I mean, I just don't believe that. I think it's horseshit. I don't think it's possible. You're going to try to figure out some way to move the Earth and put the entire planet in a different orbit. Number one, we know we've been lied to when it comes to mainstream science and all this, and we know just about everything we've been told is a lie. But if there's any kind of truth to what we've been told, I mean, isn't the fact that we have life on this planet at all due to the Earth's particular orbit and location? I mean, from what I understand, isn't that even a fraction of a change in the distance of a planet's habitable life from its star, its host star? What determines whether there's life or not? So again, all these things are ridiculous and not even within the scope of our current technology, but they're trying to come up with this now. I mean, only an idiot would assume that this is being done just for shits and giggles. Dr. Ceriotti said, I have come up with a thought experiment about what we could do with our current technology in order to move the orbit of the Earth farther away, say towards the orbit of Mars. This is approximately 1.5 times the radius of Earth's current orbit in order to keep the Earth habitable in the future. One such idea is targeting asteroids. I've talked about this, which pass by Earth's vicinity and then use the space rock's gravitational attraction to pull the orbit of the Earth away from its current location. I've been talking about this for a long time. They've already talked about that, about pulling. Didn't NASA already try to do that some years ago? Try to pull or are trying to pull an asteroid close to Earth. And I've talked about that for years. I think that goes right in line with Von Braun's thing about first it's going to be communists and third world crazy terrorists and asteroids and aliens, but all of it's going to be a lie for the to get the installation of space-based weapons in. I've said that for years. They're going to that's one of the things they're going to try to do. They're going to start trying to pull these asteroids towards us, and then when one hits, then they're going to say, "Oh, well, now we need all this stuff to keep the asteroids from hitting." This is some horse shit. This all just reeks. I mean, everything that this guy is saying is a solution just reeks of a cover for something else that they want to do, that they're going to try to do this under the guise of, under the cover of. I've been doing this shit a long. I can smell this shit a mile away, I'm telling you. I can sniff this shit out. I can tell when I'm reading some of this stuff, whether they're doing something as a front for something else. And all this is. Again, if their science is 100% correct and it's the fucking gospel as they tell us it is, and the sun won't use up its fuel for another 5 billion years, the fact we're even discussing this or trying to come up with ideas for this now is retarded. Because if what they tell us is true, there's no reason to worry about this. They're just trying to sell people on this idea of doing this because, again, they're operating with the knowledge of things that the rest of us just don't have. Another way would be to shoot the asteroid with an ion beam, and the ion beam would push the asteroid away from its orbit. All this is just retarded. Other methods simply involve landing on the asteroid and then turning on a rocket on its surface in order to eject material. This is called a mass drive. Or we could deploy a constellation of mirrors around the asteroid, and the mirrors would reflect the sun's light onto its surface. The surface of the asteroid would sublimate or turn into gas, and this gas would provide the force to move the asteroid away. And that's to do what? To move the Earth away from the sun? Did a goddamn special needs child come up with this? No, because a special needs child wouldn't be this fucking stupid. They're actually pretty genius. The simplest one is simply impacting the asteroid with a spacecraft. This is called a kinetic impactor. Again, why the fuck is all this talk about asteroids? How the fuck is pushing an asteroid with a rocket going to save you, going to help you move the Earth away from the sun? But asteroids are not the only available option. Oh, really? Oh, do tell, please. Although they would be involved in building a solar sail, a large reflective sheet that captures the momentum of light from the sun and uses that momentum to push the planet forward. Dude. Really? Really? All these other fucking problems on this planet right now, and this is what we're doing? Dude, if they're spitballing, I'm telling you, if they're spitballing this kind of stuff, something's going on. Something's going on. Because they're just throwing darts at the fucking board at this point. And they only ever do that when they're in a situation that they don't have a solution for. And they don't want to get everybody panicked about. I mean, these are extreme, crazy, cockamamie ideas that to me sound like they don't have a chance in hell of fucking happening. Are you kidding me? A solar sail that will be used to move the fucking planet into a different orbit? Or I want a pound of whatever it is you motherfuckers are smoking. I want a pound of it. That's got to be that good shit, dude. What in the fuck? They wouldn't be listen, 5 billion, you're telling me 5 billion years is going to happen, but yet we're trying to figure out how we could do this now? At this moment, we cannot even envisage how we could build such a large solar sail several times the diameter of the Earth on the ground and then send it into space where it would be deployed. Yeah, buddy, that's exactly what I was thinking the whole time you were explaining your little fucking theory on a solar sail. But in the future, we might develop technology which we can actually build structures directly in space. Yeah, we might. We just fucking might. And monkeys might fly out of my fucking dick hole too, bitch. Why don't you let the motherfuckers 4.5 billion years from now worry about that? If you're spitballing on these crazy cockamamie ideas right now, it's because they're trying to get other people to throw in other quote-unquote theoretical ideas. We're just spitballing here because they really are trying to figure out how to do something like this, and they're out of options. That's what I believe 100% is going on here, ladies and gentlemen. They're getting scared because they don't know what to do. And they're just trying to figure out any again, that's what I've talked about for years. All of this stuff, any of these topics, anything you can bring up is all under the guise of their grand master plan is just to keep their system perpetuating itself indefinitely into the future. That's it. This is not something that's going to change in the next billions of years, but although new technology may be developed, the physics is not going to change. Yeah, well, maybe not. The oxygen levels on this planet are not what they used to be. It used to be much higher. The atmosphere used to be different. The gravity used to be different on this planet. So, yeah, it's feasible that there could be changes to the physics in physics on Earth in the next 5 billion years. And that's what they're saying is not feasible, or saying that's not going to change. Listen, the chances that physics might change over the next 5 billion years on Earth has a much higher likelihood of happening than you motherfuckers making a solar sail. How big did they say? Several times the size of the diameter of the entire Earth, and then blowing some asteroids into it to make some solar wind that'll catch that motherfucker like a kite and pull the whole planet off into a different orbit. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? What moron came up with that idea, or even the spitball of that idea, needs to be slapped? But this is what I'm talking about, man. Again, if it's not going to happen for 5 billion years, we shouldn't be discussing it. Shouldn't be wasting time on it. We should be trying to figure out solutions to all these other problems. And when you got, the Never a Straight Answer Agency up in the mix, that should tell you everything you need to know. And, this goes right along with it, too. And it's something I've talked about for years, too. And that's why when... back when the whole 2012 thing was going on, man, that's why I never hyped it. I never got behind it. I didn't fucking bug out to the fucking exclusion zone, on December 21st, 2012. I fucking was at my house like I always was. Nothing, it was just another business as usual day. That's why I never got behind that shit. Because I've talked about this many times. I've talked about it in terms of Alex Jones, too, the whole, what I call the Chicken Little effect. Going back, even goes back to Jones and his Y2K broadcast. I mean, he's done it a million times. Russian nukes are in the air. We got power plants melting down. The entire city of Austin is out of water. I mean, none of that was true. I live in Dallas. It's 4 hours from Austin. You think we ran out of water here? Just fuck no, dude. Fuck no. All that was, but again, the reason all that's dangerous is because one day there is going to be a real threat. And when you've had all these Chicken Littles, the story of Chicken Little, the sky is falling. And just like the boy that cried wolf, same thing, same story. Say it, Jim. Say it. Never cry shit wolf. Each time you cry shit wolf, and each time I come running. No more, Jim. Never again. That's the whole, crying fucking shit wolf. Eventually, people are just going to go, fuck it. You know, I've heard this before, and they're not going to do anything, and then that's when the shit's going to go down. And so you get those memories, things pop up on Facebook from time to time. And I saw one of mine that popped up from like 6 or 7 years ago the other day. And it said, and it's still, I saw it. I was like, yep, I still stand behind that. It's still as fitting today as it ever was. And this is what my post from like 7 years ago said. It said, "Dear Apocalypse, shit or get off the pot." You know, it said some other things, but that's basically the gist of, you know, shit or get out the pot. Dear Apocalypse, shit or get out the pot. If you're going to, you know, I just get sick of every other fucking week. You got some asshats saying the end of the world's coming now, 6 months from now, a year from now, and then it never happens, and yet these people just get to still, you know, exist. We're in an age of apocalypse anxiety, and we'll never stop worrying about doomsday. Not so long ago, most people in the West thought the world would end on Judgment Day after the dead rose from their grave and joined Jesus on a journey into heaven. Now, of course, that seems unlikely because we're absolutely sure doomsday will come when climate change melts the ice caps and rising seas swallow our civilization. And if that doesn't happen, a killer computer will wipe us off the planet, as long as we manage to survive the inevitable nuclear war, alien invasion, or global pandemic. Of course, we don't know whether any of these disasters will come to pass because we're not much closer to accurately predicting the end of all things than we were in the days when early Christians penned the apocalyptic book of Revelation. Well, that right there is a misnomer because the book of Revelation wasn't penned in the early days of the Christians, motherfuckers. Anybody that's ever researched anything knows that. It was added on much later. We've been exploring all the possible ways of life on Earth Earth is going to develop in the coming years during our Future of Everything series. I didn't need to know that. You know, why would you reference a series or something that's not even in this fucking article? Stupid fucking bastards that write these articles. Many predictions of the futures. It should be many predictions of the future, not the futures. Or we live in the fucking multiverse now. Many predictions of the future have one common theme. We're doomed, and human civilization is going to end any day now. You might think that removing religion from society would stop us worrying about some disaster destroying our species. Yet modern secular societies, as riven with millenarian fear... Millenarian, that's a new one. God, they just love... I thought it was millennial. Or... Millenarian, huh? Y'all motherfuckers just inventing new words now? About the end of the world as the religious societies our ancestors lived in, with science offering us a whole new set of possible sounding doomsday scenarios to worry about. And we're not about to shake off this dread because we're in an era of apocalypse anxiety where people are scared about the end of the world in a more diverse range of ways than ever before. We asked Clay Routledge, a behavioral scientist and author of Supernatural Death, Meaning and the Power of the Invisible World, why we're so obsessed with end times. Humans are a unique species in that we are highly self-aware, able to mentally time travel, and capable of abstract thought. This makes us both introspective and imaginative, but with this great cognitive power comes great anxiety. Like other organisms, we have an orientation towards self-preservation, and yet we know that we are fragile and mortal beings only temporarily occupying this world. The word apocalypse didn't always mean the end of the world, but it is actually Greek for revelation and was used to describe the visions of biblical doomsday prophets. Now it means the total destruction of humanity, planet Earth, or the entire universe, although atheist modern societies have a different vision of how things will end to the God-based predictions of our religious ancestors. Of course, we humans know that all things die, so it seems natural to worry about some ultimate conclusion to existence. Everything we know has its end baked into its beginnings, including our own lives and the life of our great civilizations. Even if our species manages to avoid annihilation in the coming decades, our planet's oceans will be boiled off when the sun expands to become a red giant in about 5 billion years, turning Earth into an uninhabitable husk. Then in about, oh, no, it won't. No, we're cool. We're cool. We got this. No, we got that solar sail, dog. We got that solar sail and them asteroids and them ion cannons, dog. We gonna fucking roll that shit up. Twice the size of Earth. Hell yeah. We're gonna sail right out this bitch, right into another orbit. We got this. Don't even worry about it. We got 5 billion years to party. I mean, it's fucking ridiculous. God damn, man. You know, I mean, I know that the dumbing down of people is real, and I know that that's been going on for decades. And it's just like I talked about when I made Secret Right Volume 1, you know, going through all those old news clips, you know, stuff, even just from the 70s and 80s, not that long ago in history, and you just see how much more intelligent and not dumbed down and not pandering to the lowest common denominator that the network news was back then. That really is what blew me away the most when I was making those films, is going through the archives and going through all those news articles and just seeing how actually intelligent the news was back then. And I know that the dumbing down is real, and I know that it's accelerated. But when I read stuff like that, like this, what we're talking about here, it makes me also realize that they think that it's accelerated at a much greater rate than it has. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, we know for a fact, I mean, it's proven. We know for a fact they've been intentionally, as the years gone by, dumbing humans down more and more and more. But they're so arrogant that they think that we're actually much stupider than we are. And I just proved their point by fucking completely botching the English there. Should have been more stupid, and I said fucking stupid, or using a fucking Ricky term. So yeah, that proves their point right there. But I think that they think they've dumbed us down to a level that's much greater than they actually have in reality. You feel me? Let's continue here. Then in about 10 duotrigantillion, that's a 1 followed by 100 years, the stars will, experts say, burn out, and even black holes will ebb away during the heat death of the universe, leaving an empty and eternal void. It's obviously sensible to understand that death is inevitable and that nothing we see in our universe will stay the same for long. But there's something else at play in the minds of apocalypse-obsessed humans which makes us predisposed to worrying that the end is near. Apocalyptic fears and fantasies, whether explicitly religious or supposedly secular, are at least partially rooted in existential concerns about meaning. Some apocalyptic visions offer a path to immortality. Some are more about hope for a reboot on this planet in which humanity starts anew and builds a better world for future generations. Well, yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. That's what they want to sell everybody on. The planetary reboot, where we start anew and build a better world for wrong. That's the fucking bill of goods they want you to buy right there. That's it. That's what they want you to buy. That's horse shit, and you know it. These fucking bastards that run the fucking world have no fucking desire to do any of this to build a better world for future generations. No, they want to wipe out the existing populations of the world and have a planet or an off-planet civilization, whatever it may be, whatever they can get, that is populated strictly and only by people from their bloodlines, and they want to wipe everybody else out. That's the world they want to build. And they want to get us to build it for them before they fucking annihilate all of us. There's you some fucking doom and gloom. There's you some apocalyptic fucking vision right there, motherfuckers. That's what they want to do. Why do you think these bastards have been tracking? Why do you think they keep up? You know, something like I've talked about before with the Mormon Church having these extensive genealogical records. Well, for them, that has to do with their beliefs and their faith and the whole thing with, the necromancy, fucking baptism of the dead things that the Mormons do. But at the lower level, that's all the people know about. It's just like Masonry or government and everything else. Mormonism is compartmentalized. So what the people at the upper tip-top echelon of the pyramids know is that this extensive genealogical record and the tracking of this has to do with the plan to, as it said here, quote unquote, reboot the planet in which humanity starts anew and builds a better world for future generations. Now, the plan is to wipe everybody out, wipe everybody of every race, creed, nationality, sexuality, and all that out, and reboot with made up from humans that are only a part of the major bloodline families that trace their roots all the way back to the original first civilizations on planet Earth. That's the plan. We're not in their plan for the future, because that whole plan has to do with what they believe gives them the right to rule, the whole divine right to rule thing in the first place. Is that their bloodlines trace back to to the original, if you want to call them Anunnaki, if you want to call them whatever, but their bloodlines, look at the Bushes, the Bushes trace all the way back to fucking, just that we know of, they trace back to Ramses II. We don't even know how much farther they go back than that. Just that far back, we know they trace back to Ramses II. You see, this is what it's all about. They believe their divine right to rule comes from the fact that the major bloodline families of the people that are in power of the planet, kings, queens, royals, all that stuff, comes from the fact that their bloodline goes back to that. And this is why they inbreed and do all of this stuff. Their vision in their world of a perfect world is everybody else wiped out and only their bloodlines and everything else left on this planet to rule. Which is completely stupid, because if you actually trace back all this stuff, all the people of the world really originated out of that. But you had the tip-top ones were the ones that didn't have, interbreeding and all that. Yeah, I'm done with this. Let's move on. What else we got? Oh, this is fucking hilarious. Everybody always talks about, the predictions that the Simpsons have made through the years that have come right. But, man, you got to get up to South Park, too. They've made a few right-on calls about things that eventually have happened in real life, too. This one's fucking hilarious to me, though. You remember, this very well could be propaganda. I mean, I got to be honest, there's a hint of this to me that smells like state-sponsored propaganda against North Korea, but nonetheless, it's hilarious. But you guys have all seen Team America, World Police. Remember, and you had Kim Jong-il, Hans Blix. Fuck you, Hans Blix. Remember that? He put Hans Blix in the fucking Shark Tank. Apparently now Kim Jong-un executes general by throwing him in piranha-filled fish tank. Kim Jong-un has become a real-life Bond victim after executing one of his generals by throwing him into a piranha-filled fish tank. Well, first off, number one, just like I talked about him the other day. You remember what I talked about? His fucking guy didn't, negotiate right with Trump. Firing squad, motherfucker. Shit, man, I have to agree. I'm sorry. Call me harsh, but I just am a firm believer that our government elected officials would be more inclined to do the work of the people like they're supposed to do if they knew they were going to get thrown in the motherfucking Shark Tank or the firing squad or the fucking goddamn piranha tank. First off, number one, I say I think it's a move. I'm with it. I'm not hating on Kim Jong-un at all for that. I applaud him for that. I mean, if you ain't gonna get it done, Shark Tank, bitch, get in there. You're lunch. But at the same time, this definitely has the distinct hint and just a distinct palette of state-sponsored propaganda because, well, number one, you can stand in a fucking swimming pool. You can swim around in a swimming pool full of fucking piranhas. This is what a lot of people don't think. People think if you got a fish tank full of piranhas, you stick your hand in there, they're gonna mow it down to a fucking nub. If you stick your hand in a fucking fish tank full of piranhas, it's just not true. It's just not facts. Piranhas are actually very, very docile fish. And they don't just start gnawing on, they won't just devour a human for no reason. But if you cut somebody up or you killed them, cut them up, and then threw them into a piranha tank, oh, yeah, they eat the fuck out of that. They eat the fuck out of you then. But if you're just like in a river or something, and you fall into piranha, I was talking about piranha-infested waters and stuff. It might be piranha-infested, but unless you got an open vein that's just pouring out blood into the water, they're not going to chum you up. So Kim Jong-un would have had to have sliced this motherfucker up a little bit, sliced and diced him a little bit before the piranhas would have been interested. North Korea's tyrant ordered his death after he was accused of planning a coup. Kim had a giant fish tank built inside Ryongsong residence, one of his presidential palaces. I saw one of his palaces picture a while back, and that motherfucker looked like he lived in a Chipotle or something, or a Taco Bell drive-thru. I'm not kidding you. His house looks like one of his houses looks like a bank building or a Chipotle or something. It's weird. It had like a drive-thru on it and shit. I'm not kidding you. Kim had a giant fish tank built in one of his palatial palaces after ordering Ace to develop. I get involved with how to kill these people. Give me a new method of execution. The victim, here we go. The victim's arms and torso were cut open with knives before he was thrown into the tank. Oh, you fucked, son. You fucked. Oh, you're done. Yeah, he did it right then. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. That's a common misconception. You can't just throw, you can't just throw somebody into a fucking piranha tank or a fucking, a river full of piranhas and hope that's going to get the job done. They got to have some open veins, have some blood. Then then they will maul you to nothing in a short amount of time. Yeah. Sources said it was unclear whether the general was killed by the fish, died from his wounds, or drowned. Well, I can tell you, I wasn't there, but I can tell you clearly that it was all three. If they cut him up before they threw him in there, then it being unclear whether the general was killed by the fish, died from his wounds, or drowned, clearly he was all three. I mean, they cut him up, they threw him in there, so the fish killed him, ate his ass. Yeah, so he definitely died by his wounds. Probably, that's a good question, though. It's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg, Did he die from drowning first, or did the fish get him? I would say if he was bleeding when they put him in there, he was good and dead by the fish. Anyway, it is believed they got the idea from the 1977 James Bond film The Spy Who Loved Me, in which the villain Carl Stromberg executes opponents by dropping them into a shark-filled aquarium. Kim's aquarium is filled with several hundred piranhas imported from Brazil. Wow, several hundred. Oh, dude, yeah. No, he didn't drown then. If you put him in there, because, really, you don't even need a few hundred to get the job done. He could have put him in there. Come on, Kim. You didn't have to go that far. You put him in there with 30 of them, it would have done the job. You cut his ass up before you put him in there. 30 would have got the job done. This motherfucker's talking about a few hundred? Jesus. They have razor-sharp teeth and are capable of stripping flesh from a corpse in a matter of minutes. You goddamn right they are. Other execution methods have included blasting traitors to pieces with an anti-tank gun, feeding them alive to tigers. Oh, that's original. Beheadings, hangings, and burning prisoners to death with flamethrowers. Since Kim came to power in 2011, he's believed to have bumped off 16 senior aides. Hundreds more North Korean citizens have also been killed. His victims include his army chief, the boss of North Korea's central bank, and the ambassadors to Cuba and Malaysia. In 2016, Kim Jong-jin, the minister for education in North Korea, was reportedly executed by firing squad for having a bad attitude. Damn! See, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what I'm talking about. Elected officials. Man, you better come to work with a smile on your face, bitch. I heard he executed somebody of like his own family member because at one of his events or something, he didn't feel that they were applauding him hard enough. I guess the rate of hand slapping hand was not sufficient for Lil Kim. And I don't give a fuck if your family, bitch. Shark Tank, get in there. He wants everyone to know, including his most trusted aides, that they are at risk of suffering a very unpleasant death if he suspects they are treasonous. Ha ha ha! Put you in the Shark Tank, Hans Bricks! Fuck you, Hans Bricks! That's classic. Hey, you gotta hand it to him, man. I mean, you know, I'm not hating on him for that. You know, how whatever he thinks has got to get the job done. Maybe we're too soft on our fucking elected officials. That's what I think. I mean, these motherfuckers get to go in for 4 or 8 years, or if they're congressmen, you know, like fucking Ralph Hall, so he's maybe for life. These guys get to go in there and get paid and have a lifestyle the rest of us would only dream about. And whether they do what they say they're going to do, whether they do their job or not, there's no consequences for it. There's no upside. There's just no upside to politicians doing the will of the people. There's just no upside to it. Because they're still going to get paid the same amount of money whether or not they do the will of the people or not. But if the threat was you're going to get the bullet or you're going to get the piranha tank, I think we could be living in a new rock. You know, listen, man, say what you will about fucking Kim Jong, the whole North Korea thing. I don't know, man. I mean, they're fucked up in a lot of ways, but in that way, I kind of see his point. I mean, there's no consequence for our politicians at all. These guys can go in and take fucking bribes and take, you know, all the lobbyist money. I mean, it's just a fucking field day. There's no upside for these guys to do the right thing for the people at all. And there's no downside for them not doing it either, other than not being reelected. But a lot of these guys don't care about that either because they get in there long enough to get in with the lobbyists and get that money. That's all. That's why the system that's why nothing ever changes. So you have all these people in and out during the Trump administration. How many times has the Trump administration changed face in the short amount of time since he's been in office? They just fired, what's her name? The press, I can't remember that bitch's name. They just fired her. He just fired her, the press representative woman. Pretty much everybody that was in there in the beginning when he got elected is now out. Because they're in there to gang bang and game the system as long as they can. And then next, let's move on to the next guy. I'm talking about piranha tank and firing squads and fucking, I don't know, man. Something's going to have to change. Robots are breaking out of their cages on the factory floor, and here's what they are doing. Well, that's a fucking wonderful headline. Collaborative robots or cobots have been working with humans on the factory floor for years, but when it comes to the large-scale industrial robots that can lift and move massive pieces of manufacturing, the danger to human workers is so great that the robots are bolted down to the factory floor behind fences so a human never comes near them. That is starting to change as robotics becomes more widespread across industries. Wait a minute. Oh, this is fucking clickbait. The robots are bolted to the floor. They're not going anywhere, but the robot is not aware of the human, and it can be thousands of pounds, and it's moving really fast, and people can get hurt. On Monday, the Massachusetts-based company VO Robotics rolled out its new product called VO Free Move, which gives robots spatial awareness of every object and obstacle in their reach. Its monitoring system signals a robot to slow or stop if an unrecognized human-sized object is closer than an acceptable protective system distance, or PSD. When the obstruction passes, the robot will continue to be continuous programmed, allowing work to proceed without interruption. Oh, great. Wow, that's just wonderful clickbait headline. Wow, so it's safer for humans to stand near robots while they're working. Great. I give a fuck. I thought we probably already had that years ago. But shows you what I know. I guess that was too heavy a technology. Whatever. I mean, see, that's what I'm saying, man. Some of this shit, it's pure clickbait. That made it sound, that headline said robots are breaking out of the, unbolting themselves from the floor like robot takeovers. See what I'm saying? It's just what I was saying earlier. In a lot of this stuff, this is what they want. They want to build that apocalypse fatigue that we were talking about. They want people to be, I've said this time and again, and it's just like the Jones thing, why they continue, the sky is falling over and over and over again. That's why they want to push so much of this stuff, because they know that this stuff, indeed, all this robotic apocalypse stuff, all this technology, the overreaching technology is real, and it is a reality, and it is something that's only going to continue to get worse. But they have to continue to try and take the piss at every fucking turn they can to throw people off the scent, to give people that apocalypse trauma again, where people just eventually just get apathetic. Oh, I don't even want to hear about it anymore. That's another way that's one of the main ways to get people, the whole apathetic viewpoint, because then if you get people to just get sick of hearing about something, then they quit caring about it, and then they quit having concern about it, and then it's easier to initiate your plan into action after that. Upgrade your memory with a surgically implanted chip. Brain prostheses for the computer in your skull. In a grainy black and white video shot at the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, a patient sits in a hospital bed, his head wrapped in a bandage. He's trying to recall 12 words for a memory test, but can only conjure 3. Whale, pit, and zoo. After a pause, he gives up, sinking his head into his hands. In a second video, he recites all 12 words without hesitation. No kidding, you got all of them, a researcher says. This time, the patient had help. A prosthetic memory aid inserted into his brain. I'm not even going to scroll down anymore in this article. I bet you $1 to donuts. This is fucking DARPA doing this. Let's see if I'm right. Oh, the past 5 years, the U.S. Skeet! Over the past 5 years, the U.S., it's every time, man. I've talked about the white boys in the white lab coats at DARPA hitting my website, 50 times in one day one time. I'm telling you, I can smell them. Yeah, those sick bastards have been trying to do this for a long time. They want brain chips and everything else. Over the past 5 years, the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Project Agency, DARPA, has invested $77 million to develop devices intended to restore the memory generation capacity of people with traumatic brain injuries. Last year, 2 groups conducting tests on humans published compelling results. Yeah, that's DARPA for you. Yeah, those guys are real philanthropists over there at DARPA. Yeah, they really care about people with traumatic brain injury. Yeah, the most powerful military development agency on planet Earth, ladies and gentlemen, wants to come up with brain chips so they can help out people that have traumatic brain injuries. Oh, yeah, fucking right. No. That translates to, let me decode their bullshit speak for you and decode that into what it really means, which is we want to come up with brain chips and we want to use people with traumatic brain injuries as our guinea pigs to see if they work before we start using them in fucking soldiers. That's what that decodes to. Fucking using their flowery language to make it sound like DARPA. Give me a... Again, they fucking count on you being an ignorant dumbass. That's what they count on. They count on you, on your average dummy, not even knowing what DARPA is, number one, and number two, not even knowing what it is that they do. And what they... Listen, they are there to design and come up with next generation technology to fulfill military goals. Period. End of story. To even try to associate DARPA with a hint of, some sort of altruistic goal is silly as these fucking, a sail twice the size of Earth that we're going to hook up to a fucking meteor and whiz the planet out of the way of the fucking coming sun apocalypse. Oh my God. I'm telling you, man, I think that I really do believe that they have overstretched. I think that they've dumbed us down a lot farther than they have. It's continually reinforced every day. See, that took me 2 seconds to figure out what's going on there. My ass, they want to help people with traumatic brain. No, you guys want fucking guinea pigs before you plug these motherfuckers into soldiers' brains because you don't want to have to fucking murder any because the CIA fucked that up for y'all back in the MK Ultra days. So they and the fucking, all that stuff came out and the Tuskegee that stuff and all that. See, they soured on using fucking, they still do use soldiers and stuff for guinea pigs for certain things from time to time. They test stuff on them and vaccines and all that, but not nearly to the extent that they used to do it. Because they know now because back in those days, stuff like Freedom of Information Act requests and stuff didn't exist back when they were doing that stuff. It hadn't gotten there yet. The Mayo Clinic device was created by Dr. Michael Kahana, a professor of psychology at the University of Pennsylvania, and the medical technology company Medtronic PLC. Connected to the left temporal cortex, it monitors the brain's electrical activity and forecasts whether a lasting memory will be created. Just like meteorologists predict the weather by putting sensors in the environment that measure humidity and wind speed and temperature, we put sensors in the brain and measure electrical signals. If brain activity is suboptimal, the device provides a small zap. Oh, that's nice. So the brain chip has the ability to zap you as well. And I'm sure the altruistic, all-loving purveyors of humanity at DARPA only created that to help people with traumatic brain injuries. Oh, the ability to basically put a chip in someone that is brain-implanted electroshock therapy. Oh, that's got to be only for the good of humanity. Are you fucking kidding me? I thought you guys just said not 2 paragraphs ago that this was intended to help people with traumatic brain injuries restore the memory generation capacity of their brains. And then not 2 paragraphs down, you say that if the brain activity is suboptimal, the device provides a small zap, undetectable to the patient, to strengthen the signal and increase the chance of memory formation. Hey, buddy. Hey. How many words do you remember? Oh, no, I remember about 2, 3. How many? Oh, fuck, man. I remember 13, 4. What do you want to know? Civil capital, fatalistic, espialidocious. I know them all. Jesus. So I don't even have to even read the rest of this long ass overwinded horseshit article from Bloomberg. So DARPA is selling people, not trying to, they are. They're doing this under the guise, we can help out people who have traumatic brain injuries and help them get their memories back. All you do is put a fucking microchip in their brain and then zap the shit out of them and then they'll remember. Please. Again, they count on people's acceptance that people that work in science and technology are smarter than you. Therefore they know better than you. And so anything they say is gospel and should be taken as such. I mean, this is completely preposterous. And again, just like I was talking about who determines what's acceptable and what isn't with these algorithms, with YouTube and all this stuff, who determines whose brain activity is optimal or suboptimal? Well, you got suboptimal brain. This is unbelievable. All right, here it is. Here's what I was talking about earlier at the first of the show. Google CEO, new YouTube restrictions coming. We want to really prevent borderline content. Google CEO says he wants to see YouTube expand its crackdown on content. The company's chairman, Sundar Pichai, I don't know how the fuck you say that guy's name. I don't even care either. Said he's hoping to take Google's model of prioritizing quote-unquote quality content over to YouTube. Pichai spoke with Axios' Ina Fried, Pie? What the fuck? Who exposed concern the tech company wasn't taking a harder line against offensive content, pointing out a video she had seen of a teenager who appeared to be donning Muslim garb, spewing a lot of anti-Muslim, anti-Semitic, homophobic hate. Well, which one is it? You really, I don't know. That just sounds, I don't know. That sounds just weird to me. So someone's wearing a Muslim garb and they're hating on Muslims, hating on Jews, and hating on homosexuals all at once? I don't know all the details of this specific video. Oh, see? It's just like that Jack Dorsey guy. Well, Alex Jones violated our terms of service. But when we looked at to see what he'd done, we can't actually tell. We don't actually know what he did to violate our terms, but we know he did violate it. I don't know all the details of this specific video, but in general, look, I mean, all of us, none of us want harmful content on our platform. Again, that was probably some fucking plant video that was made by somebody so that they could fucking bring this stuff in. There's a lot of that, too. You don't know all the details of this specific video, but you know that you need to start banning whatever. Look, again, I get all the stuff like that's blatant hate. Yeah, okay, I get it. But this is what they're using to sell people on cracking down on things that have nothing to do with that. That's the whole point of this. But that they use these little plant videos where they get somebody, obviously they get somebody to dress up and to do that and say, see, there's a teenage girl, she's wearing Muslim garb and she's hating on Jews and Muslims and homos. We need to crack down on flat earthers and 9/11 truthers. Wait, whoa, what? You see what I'm saying? That's quite a leap. I mean, I've known some people that are fucking flat earthers. And I wouldn't say, well, one of them I used to know was a Trumpy, so maybe you could say he was, but even that, for the most part, I mean, what I'm saying is hate mongering and like flat earth or 9/11 truth stuff doesn't go hand in hand. So one doesn't have to do with the other, but they want to throw the baby out with the bathwater because it's not about cracking down. They don't give a fuck about people saying anything against Muslims or Jews. That's just what they're doing to grab people's attention, to justify it to the public when they go after people that aren't even, that have not, or saying nothing even close to that. They'll probably take me off YouTube just for this show alone. The CEO then said he wants to expand YouTube's view of what's prohibited. And so we are bringing that same notion from Google and approach to YouTube so that we can rank higher quality stuff better and really prevent borderline content. Content that doesn't exactly violate policies, which need to be removed, but which can still cause harm. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. That's like making a law. It's like the whole pre-crime thing, you know. It's like making a law and then putting people in jail because they think somebody might have thought about breaking that law. You're going to jail, buddy. Why? I didn't do anything. I'm innocent. Show me proof that, well, it doesn't matter. We think you might have thought about stealing from a bank. So the fact that you thought about that, jail for you, buddy. For life. There it is in his own words. Content, we're going after borderline content which doesn't exactly violate policies, which need to be removed. I mean, that's ridiculous. If you set a policy, you set it because that's what you don't want to happen. And if it happens, that's a violation. Borderline? Well, you're borderline violating our policy. You didn't actually break any laws. But, you know, you told your buddy that you were broke, and sometimes you think, man, if I didn't want to go to jail for the rest of my life, I'd just go rob a bank. People have said that a million times. Does that mean someone, you know, if someone actually goes and does, okay, that's a different story. But if somebody, again, is just spitballing, you certainly don't have a problem with these guys spitballing about the giant sail around the fucking earth. I mean, it's just insane. I mean, this is just insane. If you want to enforce, you want to set ridiculous policies and enforce them, that's your business. But to start going after people for quote-unquote borderline content, but then not giving a definition for what you consider borderline content to be, that just shows they're wanting, you know, they don't even want a reason to get rid of people. This is absolutely going after free speech. In a move Pichar said acknowledged would be controversial, fact checkers, see, I told you, fact checkers will be brought in to monitor YouTube videos. The thing we're trying to do is bring more authoritative sources and fact checks on videos, which may be controversial. It's a case where we got it wrong, but that's what we are trying to do, and we are working hard to improve. So again, fact checkers that, again, are using mainstream sources and mainstream narratives as if mainstream narratives and sources are the only real truth on. I mean, this is absolutely Orwellian. There's no question about it. And, you know, not long ago I was talking, we talked a lot about the sun. Not long ago I was talking about the moon and all this new, it seems like every day now there's more stuff coming out about the moon. All of a sudden there's more interest in the moon again. For some reason, all of a sudden everybody's like, we got to get back to the moon. Even Trump saying we got to, you know, why all of a sudden? Why the rush? And it seems now that we might have the answer to that question, ladies and gentlemen. Many of you probably already heard about this at this point. I thought it was bullshit at first until it started coming in from some other legit sources. But the moon's largest crater is hiding something, and astronomers don't know what. Compared to other bodies in our solar system, Earth's moon isn't particularly huge. However, Its relatively small size belies one of its most interesting features, which is a colossal crater measuring over 1,500 miles across. Now, researchers believe the crater, which forms a huge basin on the far side of the moon near its south pole, is hiding something. They think something's underneath this thing, like a base or a giant craft or something. In a new study published, it's a giant metal thing. This is crazy. This is not tinfoil hat here. This is legit. In a new study published in Geophysical Research Letters, researchers revealed the discovery of a huge mass hiding beneath the crater. An incredibly dense area under the lunar surface was detected with gravitational sensors pointing to the presence of something massive lurking below. There it is. Before you go imagining a mysterious subterranean civilization of moon men hiding out far below the lunar surface, that's not exactly what scientists have in mind. Instead, the researchers believe that the dense mass is actually made up of leftover material from the object that struck the moon and created the colossal crater. Well, that makes no sense. Because whenever you have impacts, whatever the impact material is shatters and breaks out over the surface. It doesn't embed itself into the shape of the crater and lie underneath it. Like you have like moldavite and those type of tektite and stuff like that. They shatter out in a wide diameter when they impact. So this is definitely something under the surface there because it's in the exact shape of the crater itself. Had this been something that strictly had struck the moon like an impact object, again, it would have shattered into 1,000 pieces. There wouldn't be a solid mass exactly the diameter and size of the crater underneath it. This is something totally different. It's an incredibly large mass of something, but the asteroid metal theory isn't the only idea being floated. Another possibility is that the dense mass is a buildup of material still left over from when the moon's hot liquid cooled. We're right, but if that was the case, then it wouldn't be an anomaly. I love how they're always quick to have an explanation that they know undoubtedly what these things are beyond any. It's just like the rock wall. They're so quick to point out that it's a natural formation. And they'll say that loud and boisterous and over the top. It's natural formation. And then quietly, when nobody's looking, they whisper, "But we never found another one like it anywhere on Earth." What? What was that? Speak up. What was that? What was that last part there? After you claimed it was natural formation, what was that whisper part? Oh, you've never found another example like it anywhere on the planet? That's what they say. That's what they say about the rock. Well, yeah, it's natural formation, but we never found another one like it anywhere. So you've never seen anything like that. You don't have another example you can show of that at all, of a natural formation forming in perfectly cast stones using specific rare minerals that are specifically designed to not shatter when sound frequencies are applied to them, specifically designed for structural engineering and specifically elements that can withstand high conductivity, high heat. But that's all just natural. It just naturally happened like that. But there's no other. Yeah, that's the same thing they're doing here. If you could easily explain this away as something to do with an impact or something like that, then it would be because you had other examples of this. And if you had other examples of this, that would mean that the moon would be full of examples. They're not. This is the only one they've ever found like this or anything remotely like this on the moon. I think this is 100% has something to do with why all of a sudden this year it's been on like Donkey Kong to get back to them. All of a sudden is, and here, God, this is just knocking these bitches out of the park for you today, man. Here's another one. What did I just tell you? Didn't I just tell you this? Wasn't I just talking about the rare earth thing? Wasn't I just telling you if I was in charge what I would do? I'm telling listen, say what you want about me, this, that, and the other. Regardless whether or not you like me or not, I actually, believe it or not, I know it's a shock, but believe it or not, I actually do kind of know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to some of this stuff, folks. I know that's hard to admit. It's hard to accept, but I actually, believe it or not, actually know what the fuck I'm talking about when it comes to a lot of this stuff, because I've studied this stuff, and I do study it 24/7. I don't ever fall off my game. And now here's an article that's come out that's saying exactly what I was saying weeks ago. Like oil and gas dominance, America can win rare earth metal production. When faced with natural resource limitations in the past, the United States has turned to independence. Earlier this decade, oil prices averaged their highest in history, thus squeezing consumers and increasing OPEC's leverage on global energy markets. Fortunately, a countervailing trend was emerging. America's untapped energy resources were being explored and produced. Through technological advances in resource extraction, the United States is now accessing shale oil and gas deposits, which is that code for technological innovations is code for fucking fracking, by the way, and growing good American jobs alongside with it. I need to read this in a good propaganda American voice, that have thrust America into the top echelon of global energy producers. Remarkably, the United States is now the top oil and gas producer in the world. American producers are now even exporting these resources to our allies throughout the world. Yes, we're breeding freedom molecules. Remember, we talked about that not long ago. Freedom molecules. We got molecules of freedom. They hate us for our freedoms, and they hate us for our molecules of freedom too. In less than 10 years from the time the U.S. oil export ban was lifted, the United States is projected to be the number one crude oil exporter in the world. By reducing the supply and price influence of OPEC and Russia, global energy markets now have democracy and free market as their foundation. Today, the United States and our allies face a similarly uneasy resource scenario, this time in regards to rare earth minerals critical to our technology and defense capabilities. Last week, China's state-run media floated the threat of restricting exports to its vast rare earth supply to the United States as retaliation to tough trade negotiations by the Trump administration. This commentary appeared just days after the Chinese President Xi Jinping appeared at a rare earth mine for a visit, demonstrating the important role the industry plays in the country's long-term strategy. With China responsible for 80% of U.S. rare earth imports, such a disruption in supply would threaten American technological leadership, which has contributed to peace and prosperity to countries around the world. God, Jesus Christ, get the fucking American flag out of your asshole, dude. Whoever wrote this shit's just getting enemas from the fucking state. My God. All that American dick being pumped up your ass is causing the fucking red, white, and blue to come out your fucking ears. Tone down the nationalistic propaganda rhetoric here. Fuck, just give us the facts, man. Every fucking sentence is just peppered with this, this rhetoric. Rare earths are essential to the production of microchips in our smartphones, rechargeable batteries, and military missile guidance and defense systems. To identify a few uses of the resources, saber-rattling or not, this could be the wake-up call to the U.S. and our allies to address our dependence on China. As America showed with hydraulic fracturing and the shale revolution, innovation and independence doesn't just change the game, it changes the playing field. It is the time the United States apply that same national strategy to rare earth minerals. So they're saying the same thing that I said a couple of weeks ago, except they're peppering it with all this fucking nationalistic, flag-waving chicanery because, well, frankly, If I'm being 100% honest, that's the only way they're going to get the people that are going to be able to make the decisions to get the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, to deregulate the production, extraction, and all that stuff of rare earths in the United States. I got to give it to them. I mean, they're right. That's what it's going to. You're going to have to talk to these motherfuckers in these kind of terms to get that shit to happen. As much as I hate it, they're actually right. You're going to have to fucking play on their, American, team, American freedom. They hate us for our freedoms. They hate us because we got freedom molecules. And they hate us because we got the rare earths. This is a long article, but it goes on to just say exactly what I've been saying for a long time. Which is there's no fucking reason why we shouldn't be producing these ourselves. I still think my original plan is the go. EPA deregulate the mining of rare earth metals, then we set up all the things that the nasty stuff it takes to refine them and process them. We set that up in Mexico. We give all the Mexicans that are coming over here across the border, we give them all jobs working in that industry. Get two birds stoned at once, as Ricky would say. NASA readies mission to mysterious 10,000 quadrillion Psyche asteroid. What? It's called the Psyche asteroid? Like Psyche? NASA is preparing to explore a mysterious asteroid made of metal. They've had treaties and stuff passed for this for years. Space mining is just an inevitability. And what one of the articles I guess it was the solar sail article earlier was talking about humans eventually manufacturing build stuff in space. Yeah. That's the next, that's what's going to be the next step after they go and start mining stuff off of these asteroids and mining metal and gold and other stuff in space. Yeah, that's how they're going to build the big fucking Imperial Star Destroyers and the fucking Imperial Starships and the Death Stars and all that stuff. Because we will do that eventually. It's going to happen eventually, but the first step in that is being able to have all the supplies mined off planet and have them already be in space anyway, and then have everything be manufactured, outside of the off planet. What else? You guys, I didn't talk about this yesterday, but I guess you guys heard about that big, so within seconds of hearing about this, I knew it was a false flag. Tanker owners seem to dispute U.S. account of Gulf of Oman attack. The Japanese owner of the Kokuka Courageous, one of the two oil tankers targeted near the Strait of Hormuz, said Friday that sailors on board saw flying objects just before it was hit, suggesting the vessel wasn't damaged by mines. That account contradicts what the U.S. military said as it released a video Friday. It said shows Iranian forces removing an unexploded limpet mine from one of the two ships that were hit. Listen, Iran goes and starts attacking fucking oil tankers right now when there's already been saber rattling and fear mongering against Iran. It's been going on for decades, but recently. Since when does Iran do this kind of stuff? Never. This is absolute bullshit. This is something I talked about for a long time. And I've said this for a long time. That what's going to happen is eventually they're going to overstep their hand with this stuff. A lot more people know about false flags and stuff like that than they used to. And as soon as I heard about this, I said, oh, here we go. they're trying to pull another Gulf of Tonkin here with Iran to justify going into Iran to justify an attack on Iran so they can go into Iran and get the antiquities. Man, Iran has, I mean, the last vestige of the antiquities these guys have been after pertaining to the ancient stargates and all that stuff is in Iran. I mean, the Behistun inscription is in Iran. That's some shit right there. There's all kinds of stuff, man. But this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to, their hubris will be their undoing. This is what's going to happen. And they've already done this, and I think, judging by the response I've seen online, nobody's buying this. I mean, it's clear, even to people that don't really know much about this stuff, that this was obviously a staged incident yesterday to try to justify an attack on Iran. I mean, there's just no question. Again, you'd have to be a complete moron to think anything otherwise. All right, folks, that's going to do it. I think I pretty much got through all the other news stories and everything I want to talk about. Again, though, we got to have your support. We raised $30-something all month. It's not going to cut it. We got bills we got to pay. I got to stay on air. I got to be able. I want to get back and I got to get back to work on these films and get this fucking films done. I'm sick of that not being done. I want to get that done this month, but I can't do anything if I don't have the money to do it. So go get some downloads, make a contribution, get yourself an archive membership, do whatever you got to do, and support our work. Put that on your priority list this weekend to support my work and get some cash in here so I can do this, because, folks, there ain't many motherfuckers left that are real and doing this on the real level like I am. Everybody else is either sold out, gone by the wayside, sucked Satan's cock, whatever. And listen, I have proven beyond any shadow of a doubt my work and what I've done has spoken for itself, and it's going to continue to do that. And that's what justifies me being here. But none of it's possible without you, and we need everybody to chip in and help us get some cash in here to fucking kick these bastards in the balls again. I'm sick of just lightly tapping them. I want to kick these motherfuckers in the nads, but I need a war chest to do it. If you got big cash you can contribute, do so, but any amount helps. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. We'll see you next time. Take care.